This video is brought to you by these YouTube members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 tech characters on Bleach Brave Souls. Now tech is one of my favorite ones to do, because most of my favorite characters are actually tech characters. Unfortunately, a lot of them will not make it on this list, but that's the nature of a top 10 list. As always, please keep in mind this is my opinion. With that said, let's begin.
大丈夫。すぐに終わるから。
Now we're starting off with a character that is currently the most sought after on my personal list. Fierce battle version of Nemu. Now this Nemu is very impressive. She's got a really high attack as well as a plus 50 bruiser. In addition to that, she also increases the normal attack damage from Tekarankars by 20%, and she's got an ability that increases the melee damage she deals by another 10%, effectively making her increase her own normal attack damage by 80% before Flurry. Just to compare, the other characters that can do that are Masaki and the new version of Jushiro. Of course they're able to boost and she can't, but that's still very impressive. And it has the potential to get even better, because in Guild Quest that 10% addition to melee damage becomes 30%, effectively increasing her own normal attack damage by 100% before Flurry, but only in Guild Quest. Then we have her strong attacks that are actually pretty decent. She may not have that high of an SP, but the strong attacks have great range and she has a plus 60 Berserker. Plus, because of that melee damage increase, it's essentially a 70% Berserker, 90% in Guild Quest. Obviously, normal attacks are still the way to go, but I am a huge fan of wrong builds, and that's actually the main reason I want this character. Nell also has poise, meaning her attacks cannot be interrupted, and she's got an Arankar killer, which is very good considering she's melee and no Arankars can guard melee attacks, making her extremely fast against them. She's also got a damage reduction soul trait of 16%, and she cannot be frozen, meaning the only way to really stop her is to paralyze her or take her out completely. Finally, she's got Sprinter at 2, making her an even faster character and allowing her to dodge specials easier. I honestly waited a really long time for them to finally come out with a Nell that looked like this in her two-legged form. The one that came out did not disappoint, aside from the fact that I didn't pull her. Yet.
サーベルズ不在のロンドンを守ってがっつり目立ってサーベルズに昇進するんだから。
Next up we have Nemu, who I'm really hoping becomes a filler soon because I didn't pull her on one of my accounts. Nemu's got a really high SP as well as Frenzy, and she's got a plus 60 Berserker, which is insane. She's also got Havoc, increasing the range of her strong attacks, and they already had pretty decent range. Her strong attack 3 becomes beyond full screen, and the other two strong attacks just get improved range. Her strong attack 1 force pushes enemies back, hitting multiple times and dealing a lot of damage, and her strong attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move that gathers enemies and pushes them back. It's also a barrier move, which is kind of a double-edged sword for a character like this. Plus 60 Berserker and Frenzy is very rare, and it's got potential for a lot of damage. It's also got potential to make one of the fastest characters. Unfortunately, she is not one of them. She's meant mostly for support and crowd control, which she does do very well, but you're gonna have to use your normal attack a lot. Lucky for her, it's not really a problem. Her normal attack fires fast, and she's got a plus 40 bruiser, so when you have to use it, it's not like it's bad. Plus, she does get access to her strong attack 1 and 3 faster than normal characters because of that 14% strong attack recharge link. Nini also has Devastation at 60%, meaning her special hits extra hard, and she completely nullifies range resistance, expanding the places you can take her in. Speaking of which, she's also got 2 killers, greater expanding the areas she's useful in, since it basically means you can take her anywhere where Arankars or no affiliations are enemies, regardless of whether or not they're able to resist ranged attacks. There's definitely faster characters that didn't make it on this list, but the reason I decided to put her on here is because she's useful in a variety of situations, and she has the potential to hit extremely hard.
危険対象を確認したよ。早速実験に向かうとしようじゃないかね。
So this one's gonna be a little weird, because given the right increase in stats, Miuri could actually be number 2 on this list. And I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments of people complaining that I put him at number 8 because of it, especially from those that don't actually listen to what I have to say and just scroll through the video. Now, Miuri has the perfect kit. Not only does he have a really high SP, Berserker at 20%, Guard Break Frenzy, Havoc at 20, and the ability to inflict weakening on everything, but the strong attacks that they gave him are basically the ones that they give the fastest characters. And I'm kind of surprised there's not more tech characters with this kind of kit. There are some, don't get me wrong, but most of them either don't have Havoc or don't have Berserker. Most. But I digress. His strong attack 3 is beyond full screen, while his strong attack 2 is very close to full screen. His strong attack 1 is a beam shot, and all of these attacks get greater range thanks to Havoc being 20. Meaning that by the end of it, his strong attack 1 also has almost full screen range. As I mentioned before, he also has guard break, meaning enemies cannot guard against his attacks, and they can inflict debilitating weakening, which is still the best status ailment. In addition to that, he's also completely immune to being weakened himself, and his special, in addition to dealing weakening, also grants alive party members protection in case they were to go down. Now with all this, you would think he'd be much higher on the list, and like I said, with high enough stats, he very well would be. The problem is his killer, and I know a lot of people don't view killers the same way as I do, but I do feel the killers are very, very important in the game, as a lot of aspects of the game multiply the killers. Senkaimon, guild quests, inheritance zones, transcendent zones, droplet zones, just to name a few. And while they are doing a better job of making Captain, Espada, Sternritter, and Zero Division killers more usable, it still holds a character back. At least when it comes to generic PvE, which is what most of us do in the game. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, this one's a weird one.
どんな理由があろうと隊長に剣を向けることは僕が許さない。あかんな。
Next up, we have the double team version of Gin and Izuru, one of currently 2 double team characters. I really thought we would get them more often. Now this character has a really high SP, as well as Frenzy and Berserker at 20%. He's also got guard break, meaning enemies cannot guard against his attacks, and it means that characters that normally would guard against these attacks take the full amount of damage. Now this character may not have Havoc, but his strong attacks still have really good range. He's got a full screen strong attack 3, a strong attack 2 that hits a large area in front of him, and a lunge move strong attack 1. All of these attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating poison, and his normal attack as Gin also has a chance to inflict it, while his normal attacks as Izuru have a chance to inflict debilitating lacerate. Also, how cool did Izuru look in the new chapter? Now when you're not using one, the other one is still fighting with their normal attack. It doesn't deal as much damage, but it can still come in handy, not just for the additional damage, but also to distract enemies and keep them from attacking the one you are controlling. This character is also no affiliation character, which is actually really convenient considering there's no areas right now that have no affiliation killer enemies. At least not that I know of. There might have been one, I don't remember, it's been a while. But most importantly, he has 2 killers, a Soul Reaper and a Hollow Killer, effectively doubling the areas he's really useful in. I'm actually a big fan of the double team system in this game, and I really hope we get to see more, though I'm not really a fan of 2 character banners, which is where the game is going.
俺に答えよ応援邪魔だ
Next up, we have the newest version of Kusaka. Now this character is pretty interesting because his damage can vary a lot depending on whether or not an enemy is frozen. He has a really high SP as well as Frenzy and Berserker at 20%, meaning that he already deals a ton of damage. He's also got a strong attack recharge link, so he's able to spam these, and they all have a chance to inflict debilitating freeze, which if they do, he actually gets a power boost. Not only does he have an ability that increases the amount of damage he deals to frozen enemies by 20%, but he also has another ability that increases the amount of damage Tech Soul Reapers do to enemies that are affected with status ailments, meaning that if you were to freeze an enemy, they'd be taking 60% more damage before Frenzy, which is just nuts. And like I said, his strong attacks are likely to do it since he can spam them. His strong attack 1 is a beam shot move with great range thanks to Havoc at 20. His strong attack 2 is very near full screen, again because of that Havoc at 20, and his strong attack 3 is a hybrid vortex move that goes beyond full screen. It hits more than the average number of times for strong attack 3, meaning it's a bit more likely to inflict freeze than your average strong attack 3. To top things off, he's also completely immune to being weakened for some reason. Honestly, I like this character. His damage may be inconsistent, but it's not in a bad way, since the least amount of damage he deals is on par with both Gin and Izuru and Miuri, and at most it's the equivalent of Berserker at 60 and Frenzy.
出力開始 50%、80%、充填完了行きます
Next up, we have the Machine Society version of Nemu. I really like this character. I don't know if it's because it's Nemu, or it's because I really like characters that use lightning, or if it's just the steampunk aspect of it. Regardless, this character is really good. She not only has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, but she's also got an ability that increases the amount of damage Tech Soul Reapers deal with their strong attacks by 20%, effectively making it a plus 40 Berserker before Frenzy, and giving an extra 20 to any of her teammates that are also Tech Soul Reapers. She's also got an excellent kit, thanks in part to Havoc at 20 that increases the range of her strong attacks. Her strong attack 1 is a beam shot move, though it really doesn't feel like it, in a good way. Her strong attack 2 is very near full screen, and her strong attack 3 is a charge move that goes beyond full screen when fully charged. It also doubles in strength and hits for a lot of damage. Nemu also has a Hollow Killer, and she has an ability that increases the chance of her inflicting paralysis to Hollows by 10%, making it very, very likely. Finally, because Hollows love to freeze, they also made her completely immune to being frozen, which is very, very nice. Honestly, it was kind of a toss-up between her and Kusaka, since Kusaka has the potential to deal more damage, but Nemu's is more consistent because it's plus 40 all the time, plus double that charge move, and there's no question as to who deals more damage.
強えのはどっちだって聞いてんだよ。やっぱこっちじゃねえか。
Now, I'm a person who really likes utility. I like it when my characters can do more than one thing, like paralyze, or crowd control, or have some sort of gimmick. But every now and then we get a character like this Grimmjow, who just deals a colossal amount of damage, and has no gimmick or crowd control aside from that. This Grimmjow has a really high SP, as well as Frenzy, Berserker at 40%, and an ability that increases the amount of damage tech Arrancars deal with their strong attacks by 20%, effectively making it a 60% Berserker, which is not only something that's very rare, but it's also not the limit, because his Soul Trait increases the amount of damage he deals at full stamina by 25%. Effectively making this 85% before Frenzy, making the only character that can consistently get above this be the 6th anniversary version of Aizen. Now I say consistently because there are some things other characters can do, but that goes into transformations and close range attacks and charge moves, and we're not going to get into that. The best part about this too is that he's not even sacrificing frequency. He may not have a strong attack recharge link, but he does have a strong attack recharge ability, so you can actually build this in a way that spams these attacks. They also have great range despite him not having Havoc. He's got a Beam Shot strong attack 1, a lunge move strong attack 2, and a full screen strong attack 3. At full health, he also deals a lot of damage with both his normal attack and his special, since he would have the equivalent of a 65% bruiser and an 85% devastation. Now yes, he does lose that 25% boost if he gets hurt at any time, but even then he still has the equivalent of a plus 60 Berserker and Frenzy. Not to mention great range on the strong attacks, which he can still spam. Out of all the fierce battle Arrancars they've been doing, he's definitely one of the strongest, and it makes complete sense since it is Grimmjow and the community loves him.
僕のシュリフト A アンチサーシス 手出しは不要だ
Speaking of gimmick characters, the manga version of Uri. Now I really like this character, despite him being a bit slower than most of the other characters on this list so far. But I really like unique characters, and this guy is definitely unique. He's not only got a really high SP as well as Berserker at 40% and Frenzy, meaning he deals a lot of damage, but he also has Guard Break, meaning he ignores guards, and all of his attacks deal the full amount of damage that they're supposed to deal. He's also got Havoc at 20, increasing the range of his strong attacks, and he's got Bruiser at 40%, meaning his normal attacks are also viable. He's got a Beyond Full Screen Strong Attack 3, a Hybrid Vortex move Strong Attack 2, and a Great Range Strong Attack 1 that hits multiple times. Now this alone would make him a fairly decent character. Great range, guard break, and hits hard. But he just so happens to have the unique ability of Ailment Reversal, which not only deflects any status ailment an enemy tries to hit him with back to them, but also heals him for 25% of his total health. I've actually gone on an Inheritance Zone, tried to get knocked out by enemies, and couldn't, because the enemies kept healing me. It was actually pretty fun to watch, and with the right accessory, you can essentially heal for half your health anytime they try to hit you with a status element, making it even harder to get taken out. Now this is useful in every single aspect of the game, including PvP, which I have done with this character. He was alright. And that's not even the only way he can heal. His special also heals him and the entire party for 60%. So yeah, like I said, he's not the fastest character on this list, but if you ask me, he's definitely the most unkillable, because I've actually tried it.
I am #1 Tenpetsu creator! ジャンボクの刀は一振り一殺さ
Next up, we have the #1 Zanpakuto creator. I'm honestly surprised how well this character has held up. Seriously, at this point he's been out for over a year, and he still holds up remarkably well. Oetsu has a really high attack as well as Bruiser at 40% and Flurry. He's also got a boost move Strong Attack 2 with Enhancer that increases his attack defense and focus by 33% for 20 seconds. Now I was actually curious to see whether he or Nell would deal more damage with his normal attack when he was boosted, since she increases her own normal attack damage by 80% before Flurry, but he increases it by 40, but he has a boost move. The winner was still Oetsu. That 33% is no joke. Now Oetsu also gets this boost move more frequently because he's got a strong attack recharge link, meaning you can have this boost more often than not. This boost move is also a vortex move that surrounds him, stunning the enemies around him, increasing the combo, and letting him move more freely. This is good because he doesn't have poise, but while he may not have poise, he does have guard break, meaning he can't really be stopped unless an enemy's hidden underground. And with the right accessory, even that's not really a problem. His other two strong attacks are also pretty useful, and he has Berserker at 50%, so even though he he doesn't have that high of an SP, it'll still deal a decent amount of damage. Waitsu's also completely immune to being paralyzed, which is great because he has a Soul Reaper killer and they love to paralyze. And his special, while it may not deal that much damage, does have the chance to instantly take out the enemies. It's also very fun to watch. Now, like I said, some of my favorite characters are tech characters, which is honestly a shame because there were even some of my favorites that I couldn't put on the honorable mentions.
耐え難い天の座の空白も終わる。これからは私が天に立つ。
逃げられると思うな。メンテスでキブロン。挽回弱砲雷光弁。この一撃で終わらせてやろう。
千景千本桜影吉。
前袖の白雪次の舞白龍
よく見とけ。これが俺の力だ。
Now finally at number 1 is the character you all knew was going to be at number 1, the Artworks version of Ichigo, who, art-wise, I actually like the other version of Lunar Ichigo better, but character-wise, this one is definitely superior. He's got a really high SP as well as Berserker at 60% and Frenzy. Funny how Grimmjow can actually hit harder, huh? Now in addition to that, he can also inflict weakening with all of his attacks, and he's got Havoc at 20%, so his strong attacks hit extra wide. And they already had great range. His strong attack 3 is now beyond full screen, his strong attack 2 hits an area very near full screen, and his strong attack 1 is a hybrid vortex move, but definitely benefits from the increase in range because of the sheer amount of times it hits. It has a higher chance of inflicting weakening, and because it is a strong attack 1, he can definitely spam this. And more frequently than most characters too, because that strong attack recharge link is boosted at 14%. These attacks and their frequency make him incredibly fast, but it's not the only thing. He's got poise, meaning these attacks cannot be stopped or interrupted. And thanks to his complete immunity to all status elements, it also means he can't be frozen, paralyzed, lacerated, or anything else that would stop him from using attacks. This Ichigo also has an additional sprinter, and they gave him long stride, because they really wanted to solidify that he is the fastest character. Anyone who's been playing this game a long time knows this is a great combination of things to have, since it means you can basically dodge any special, and you can very easily get from one area of the map to another, which is very good in arena mode. Speaking of which, during arena mode, this character also gets last ditch survival, because why not? This Ichigo, like a lot of other special Ichigos, also has Marauder, which is nullify melee resistance and guard break in 1, and also, again, makes him faster. The Marauder in particular makes him useful in a lot of areas he wouldn't normally be, but it's not the only thing, because they also gave him 2 killers, a Soul Reaper one, which makes no sense to me, but is great because it's the best killer to have, and a no affiliation killer, meaning you can enjoy using this character in a very vast variety of areas. Finally, to top things off, they also gave him Bombardment, because he wasn't broken enough already. He's one of the 2 insanely strong characters that they added around Anniversary that are available in premium summons, meaning you can get him from BBS tickets or 5-star tickets, which I'm really grateful for because that's actually how I ended up getting him. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.